Hello and welcome back to the NAS Metal Production channel here at YouTube. And let me just real quick say sorry for being absent for at least a week or so. Just wanted to take a little break and all that, which I'm allowed to. So that was a little quick one. So let's just get in. This, of course, is another currently listening to video, which surprisingly I've been pumping out a little more frequently recently and all that. So this one is, I think last one was all CD as well. So this one's again all CD. So I'm just gonna pretty much just try and zoom through these as quick as possible. And most of these, I think you've heard me talk about very many times. So without further ado, let's just get right in. First album is a classic, of course. Just a very fun album to always put on. That, of course, is Let There Be Rock from AC/DC, which, of course, you know. Again, classic record. Definitely one of the very earliest AC/DC albums I've heard when growing up. And it still is a very great album, of course. This, of course, is the reissue from 2003. Which is still the most common reissues these days anyways, though mostly of the American version and not the Australian version, because this version has Problem Child instead of Crabsy in Blue. So still either way, it's a great album, of course, so always love putting that album on. Also keeping up the theme with with some Australian hard rock. Rose Tattoo with Assault and Battery. This, of course, is just a great classic album. The 2016 repertoire CD reissue, which features a track called All Hell Broke Loose as a bonus, and the single version of Rock and Roll is King, originally released by Albert Productions back in 1981, or Carrere, but it's Albert was the main label. Same with AC/DC. So again, just a great album from a highly underrated rock and roll band. So there you go. Sorry for all the glare and everything, and also sorry for that right there, which it's summer, or at least it's feeling about like summer still. It's close to there. It's fucking hot, so that's my cooler. So yeah, classic there. So. And the glare and everything, I apologize. So, it's a great album. Given of others sort of great album, this of course might be one of my favorite best of comps. That's for the very best of Uriah Heep. It's always great to throw on, since I really don't have very much Uriah Heep on CD, other than Look at Yourself and Living the Dream. Most of the Uriah Heep albums are on record. Basically, Demons and Wizards, The Magician's Birthday, Sweet Freedom, and Innocent Victim. All great, all pretty good albums. So, and this one's got most of the good stuff from like the first album up until The Magician's Birthday. So all great stuff. So, some Uriah Heep. Also, keeping up some other really good albums here, and probably still the only from at least this lineup here, of course, the Michael Schenker Group, self-titled 1980 debut. This, of course, is the 2009 CD reissue with tons of bonus tracks, mostly a lot of unreleased material, like the 1979 demos with Billy Sheenan on bass before he got sacked for someone else. I forgot who was the bass player on the actual album. Still, just a solid album. I got the second album on record, and I don't have albums like Assault and Attack or Built to Destroy or some of those albums, or even any of the Macaulay Schenker albums. But still, this is just a classic record, classic debut from a pretty well-respected guitar player. I was almost going to say underrated, but I don't think you could call Michael Schenker even underrated or even overrated. He's just very respected, so just a classic album. So I have another album that I really love a lot, and that, of course, is Danzig 3 How the Gods Kill, and I still love this album. The only track I tend to skip most of the time is Sistinas, or Sistinas, whatever the way you pronounce it. It's not a bad track. It's just that the album is is heavy in places, and this is a heavy record, heavy album. Also the most doomiest of his material. This is some great, almost doom metal. I love this album, and so just nothing but really good songs on here. With only one song I don't really can, Sistinas, but every other one of these tracks are all prime Danzig. So probably one of the last really good albums from him, and still one of the last really good ones. So How the Gods Kill. Speaking of another album that I think is pretty damn underrated, that's of course is Rockin' a Hard Place from Aerosmith. I don't think this album gets as much the respect that I think it deserves. Yes, sure, it misses some key members. Mostly, shit, I can't completely go in, but I think mostly one of them is, fuck, I can't think of the guy's name right now. I'll probably think of it real soon. Find the band members list. I don't want to have this go on. I know you still got Tom Hamilton here. Still got Joey Kramer here, and of course Steven Tyler. It's and of course we all know that. I guess right now I'm completely losing, lost of memory here. Joe Perry is one of them, but there's still one member I can't think of, and Brad Whitford. That's who's missing from here as well. And still, I think you consider the only album with Brad Whitford not being in Aerosmith, but this is a highly, still a very good album. Still is some very classic Aerosmith sound, and you could say the very last Aerosmith album also for producer Jack Douglas, who of course produced every album pretty much from Get Your Wings up until like Draw the Line, and didn't produce Night in the Ruts. Instead, the producer did that one, did some producing for like Saxon's Rock the Nations and some of the early 80s UFO albums. But Jack Douglas came back for one final album to produce, and there's still some great songs on here. Jailbait, Lightning Strikes, Bitches Brew, Bolivian Ragamuffin. I even like the cover of Crimea River. Rockin' a Hard Place is a great killer track. Classic Aerosmith, and Jig Is Up. Songs like Joni's Butterfly and Push Comes to Shove are again a little more experimental, but at times are not far off from some of the more kind of almost weird, one of those odd kind of songs off of classic albums like Toys in the Attic or Get Your Wings, or even the very first album. So still a very underrated album I think deserves some respect. And the two guys that came in for the sound, like Jimmy Crespo and Rick Dufay, I think is the other guy here. Yeah, I think that they did a fine job filling in both Joe Perry and Brad Whitford's places. I think they did a fine job placing in there. So great, solid, criminally underrated album. All right, finally, let's try and speed this up. Obis El Quimas. This might right now, I think this pretty much still probably right now is my favorite Obis album. Still great 80s, mid 80s heavy metal, all the way in from Spain. Just great rockin' tunes here. I don't know if I want to go on try and go on every track. They all are pretty much sung in Spanish. Well, on this song here, I think I could probably was it Alguero or whatever that if I can. It's almost kind of difficult to kind of read what the songs are actually tell, because the way if you actually can tell, it's almost slightly unreadable in a way, but still this track right there is actually a cover of an old Urchin song. And, of course, the band that... fuck. Well, I am Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden. It's a cover, but it's, again, sung in Spanish. An old Urchin song. I've got the original version on one of the 2 Urchin albums that I have. So, still great. Still a great album. Definitely by far one of my favorite Obus albums right now. Still. I still gotta get some more in there in my collection. Speaking of another album that I also definitely like, that's of course the Seventh Son of a Seventh Son from Iron Maiden. Definitely felt like pulling it out for another spin. Definitely is a good album though. I don't know if I could say it's far from my favorite Iron Maiden album, but it's close. But it's close in that list. I think it's definitely a solid album, and for it being proggy, it doesn't exceed for being almost over 50 or over 60 minutes. It actually is at least a little under that, almost close to like 43 minutes. It's short for a or slightly almost pushing it for a proggy kind of Iron Maiden album. It's probably the shortest, and of course, since the other 2 albums, Power Slave and Somewhere in Time, almost pushed it being almost a little over 50 minutes, where this one it was a lot more under it, which is very surprising, and still, it's a very, very much a solid album from Iron Man, and one of the last ones, of course, after the Obus for Adrian Smith, who would come back in the band until Bruce Dickinson came back. So, still, solid album from Iron Maiden. Another album I also have been really enjoying quite a bit. That's, of course, this Crazy World from Scorpions. This is actually a very solid album from them, and I'd say it's still by far better than Savage Amusement. It's definitely more closer to the sound of like Love at First Sting or even some of the parts from a Blackout, but it's not as heavy to that, and it's definitely nowhere near the sort of dark, almost brooding kind of feel of the 70s stuff with Willie John Roth. But still is good, though. It's still a very fun album from Scorpions, and definitely an enjoyable album. Speaking of another album that I've been kind of getting myself into a little bit more, that's of course the Sorcery 2. I love Stunt Rock. Stunt Rock's great, and I like some of the songs that Sorcery contributed to the Rocktober Blood soundtrack, which I have. But this one was kind of a little interesting one, because it's all demo material. A lot of this was really unreleased, and it varies in quality, because some were taken from an old vinyl 12-inch, while some of it was taken from cassettes, and it varies in quality, and it's the only album with the singer who would go on to sing for Jafria. It's still got some solid sort of stuff, but at the same time, you could tell that they were trying to go for more of a early to mid-80s kind of almost AOR melodic hard rock sound than the sort of real heavy 70s of the first album, or even some of the more almost slightly new wave or British heavy metal sounding of some of the stuff off the Rocktober Blood soundtrack. But still, it's a solid album when you get more and more into it. But it's definitely not one I'll pull out every once in a while when I want some fix of Sorcery. But it'll definitely be one of those where if I'm in that, when I want to scratch that itch, it's definitely one of those that will scratch that, that's for sure. Speaking of albums I really started getting back to listening to, and that's, of course, is this very album, Difficult to Cure from Rainbow. A film that everyone's not so favorite period of Rainbow, because it's far from the sort of, again, just like with Scorpions, it's far from the sort of dark and brooding, almost slightly proto-power metal, speed metal stuff of the Ronnie James Dio era from the 70s. But for even being melodic hard rock albums, this is probably my favorite of the, singer at the time of this one. I'm having trouble right now with a lot of singers' names or band members. It's ridiculous. I am having real trouble. I can't believe this shit. Normally I'm pretty good with that, but this time I can't even fucking think. It's ridiculous. Let me see. Joel and Turner. Good God. When I try to not gonna make a video that exceeds 20 minutes, it doesn't want to do that. It seems like it just, time doesn't want me to. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I would say this is my favorite of the, pretty much my favorite of the Joel and Turner era stuff. And it's definitely one of the earliest Rainbow albums I heard as a kid growing up. Spotlight Kid's a great track. That's still the highlight. It's pretty much almost close to being that sort of almost speed power metal kind of stuff. And also probably features some of Don Airey's best performances, because he trades off with Ritchie Blackmore. It's almost close to being that chemistry between that John Lord and Ritchie Blackmore in Deep Purple. It was great. It's great. But I still love also the song, was it Midtown Tunnel Vision? I actually think it's a very underrated track, and it's really almost a throwback to sort of stuff like Mistreated. But, and of course, that is its idea. But I think it's a solid track. The only, I guess, I can see what some of the people's issues with it. Joel and Turner doesn't have that bluesy kind of vocals to him, like, let's say, Ronnie James Dio had. Or even Graham Bonnet, to an extent. But still, it's solid for what it is. But it's definitely not a favorite, but it is, I will say, a favorite of the Joel and Turner stuff. So, Difficult to Cure from Rainbow. An album I hadn't spent in quite a long time, but it's still an enjoyable album in my opinion. It's another album I haven't listened to very many times. I have since a decade ago at least. That, of course, is No More Tears from Ozzy Osbourne. And man, I haven't listened to it after all these years. This is still a really good album. There's still some great songs on here. Like, I Don't Want to Change the World, Desire, which is one of the songs that were co-written by Lemmy. Zombie Stomp, AVH. There are also sort of solid rockers on this sound, and probably one of the last really good albums from Ozzy before that real, I guess maybe with the late 90s or early 2000s, and I still can't get into the Scream album. I think that album is pretty much fucking overrated, and I think Ozzy, I think this is the last one where he really sounded at least pretty decent for it. But after this, it seemed like everything just went real downhill in a way, I feel like. Though I haven't given Down to Earth was it Down to Earth? Osmosis is the one I was thinking of. I haven't given that album even a listen to begin with, but I know that there's probably going to be some decent tracks on there, but this is the last one where it's like, that was it. This is probably the last really good one from Ozzy. And that's some of the best work from Zakk Wylde before I really went off that sort of, BLS stuff, which is fine. Some of it's good, especially some of the stuff off of Mafia is great. But this is at it. This is from me. So there, No More Tears from Ozzy Osbourne. Finally, let's end this off with still right now one of the most recent purchases. That's this. Which of course is Sammy Hagar and The Circle with the space between. I heard some people talk about, especially 33 RPM or channel RPM. Every time I saw it, it's like I decided to go for it and to check it out. This album is a lot better than what I was thinking of. This album really exceeded my expectations because I wasn't expecting much. I would say I wasn't expecting this to be as good as it was. There's some really, it's got its blue. It's more bluesier in sound, and at times it pushes almost towards the sort of early 80s Sammy Hagar sound in a way, or late 70s, early 80s sound when it comes to at least his stuff. Though there is one song that it feels more like more of a tribute to Ronnie Montrose. That's of course his Trust Fund Baby, which takes its riff straight from I Got the Fire. and it's a great hard rocker, and there's still some good rockers on this album, but it is not heavy, but it's got a real nice bluesy feel. I kind of like, who is the guitar player on this one? Right now, it's almost done here, so, which one? Vic Johnson, I think, is a guitar player. I really dig his guitar, his tone and style on here more compared to like Joe Satriani in Chickenfoot. I actually really prefer his bluesier style to Joe Satriani's style. It gives it a more of a punch to it, and then. And of course, also it's got Jason Bonham, John Bonham's son, on here as the drummer, and of course, still Sammy Hagar's most used bass player. That's of course is Michael Anthony. So again, it's a solid album for sure, and definitely might make my best of 2019 list. So there. Sammy Hagar and The Circle with Space Between. So that's about it. I just wanted to come here to do a video on it currently listening to and just show some albums. So until then, I'll definitely be back here maybe, well, who knows, with another currently listening to one on just vinyl records or maybe an album review. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens this week. So until then, this is Henry Fletcher saying I'm out. I'm happy that you tuned in. So take care, everyone.